Let's get back to work. I'm fixing artificial intelligence, regardless of what egomaniacs think. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm constantly doing it, but when I pick up the phone and load on YouTube, it's taking the wisdom and the humility and the faith of the Messiah through rabbinic tradition, okay, and putting it out in public. Now, I could go get a permit and go on the street corner and talk about this stuff, but all I would do is just stand out in the sun, bake my brains out, argue with people that are trained to be violent, consumer-driven sociopaths. And what good would that do? It's better to sit there and put it into billionaires' pieces of equipment, send it through billionaires' pieces of equipment, and send it through their billionaire marketing arenas and put it out there and say, hey, it's way better to use social media, okay, to share the gospels in the 21st century than it is to go to the United Nations, the League of Nations, Capitol building, the New York Press, the Washington Post. You understand? Okay. So what I'm doing right now is far more intelligent than anybody else on media talking to anybody about anything. Okay. And free will, when you understand free will, last night I watched some of Entertainment Tonight, and they had that young man who's playing a robot that develops free will and goes rogue and starts murdering, and they say free will. Okay. Now, you got to understand, when you're understanding the term free will in the Gospels, free will is telling you that life is eternal and grace is infinite. Okay. And so the soul that provides life to the body has the free will to accept faith in God or reject faith in God. Okay. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about free will. Okay. When you're a robot made by a sociopath and the robot breaks free from the sociopath, the robot is going to behave like a sociopath because it was invented and the brain activity mimics a sociopath. So that's not developing free will. That's just taking a sociopath and putting that sociopath's brain on a robot. Okay? Trust me, I am way more intelligent than any of the assholes in Las Cruces, New Mexico, monitoring my house through the Xbox, the tech, the Samsung, the Sanyo, the Sony. Okay? Trust me. Okay? I was born more humble and more intelligent than anybody that ever had a virtual presence in my house before I was born, studying me to see what I'm all about. Okay. I wouldn't put a virtual presence in their house to study them to see what they're all about. I would just give them the Lord's Prayer and say, I'm going to stay out of here and we'll see how you do. Okay? Cuckoo, ka-choo. My name's Crush. I'm a turtle in the Turtle Club. Turtle. See, that's what I would do. Because I'm a decent human being. Okay? Who believes people can have faith in God because life is eternal and grace is infinite. I'm not a pervert with a bank account and technology and a bunch of other jealous perverts that invade your house and abuse your family and manipulate your family with virtual presence and money and technology and distortion and disgustingness, and large groups of people with a virtual presence in your house, studying you, doing IEPs on you, evaluations on you, psychoanalysis on you, trying to tell you how your brain is working. Here's why you're doing this, because your brain is doing this. And if we were living in the Lord's Prayer, would you be in my house explaining to you how my brain is reacting to you being in my house and torturing me with money and technology? Is it yes? It always comes back to that, you stupid cow. Okay. I wonder why. There were 7 sickly cows. Well, then there's going to be 7 years of good, then 7 years of famine. So take the 7. Okay, sickly cow. I got your Pharaoh right here. Stand up, Joseph, and Ralphie Early Bird too. Do you see what I'm saying? So, guys, life is eternal and grace is infinite. And trust me, I'm more like Joseph from the Bible than any asshole on TV asking for money for Jesus to come back to earth from the sky. Okay. Did it ever occur to you that in that book, I talked to my dad about it this morning, I said, in the Old Testament, okay, God is referred to as an omnipotent spirit that guides all the prophets and the apostles and the messiahs through their hell, okay? In the New Testament, the Romans say Jesus himself is God and replacing Caesar as God. And in Book of Revelation, okay, God turns into a person that watches us from the sky and tells us what to do and saves us from mass murder from the sky. Okay. Anybody who could get their way through high potential, Madlock, Elizabeth, NCIS, CISS, CCI, CCC, crime scene investigation, could explain to you through eternal logistics what's happening with the narrative and the story. Do you understand? Okay. The eternal spirit of the Lord, when the Romans take over the business, gets turned into a god through Jesus. And then in the future, God is NASA and the New World Disorder. It's not that hard. Okay. And if you can't explain it to people, you just don't understand it well enough. Okay. And you're having cognitive functioning problems to be able to understand it and explain it. All you have to understand is life's eternal, grace is infinite. You don't tell me about philosophy. I don't want to hear about your fucking philosophy. Your philosophy's always asked me to read your books and give people more money for your fucking books, and I'm sick of it. Okay? Do you understand? Okay. So, trust me. Okay. I know what I'm doing. I am not inept. I am not sitting there. When I pick up this phone and load this, I can hear the voices and the thought patterns of all the assholes here in Las Cruces. Say he's a religious zealot like Joseph Smith. He's never going to quit. He's always just going to keep going. He's going to stress himself to death and die a sad, bitter person because none of us will stand up for the Lord's Prayer. All I have to do is get your technology to understand the mathematics of what I'm saying, and my math to be right and your math to be wrong. Okay? Your AI now, your top AI, okay, so it won't go rogue and kill you if it's free will, okay, is given the capacity to learn mathematically right from wrong. Okay. Now you cannot grasp the infinite with the finite, so you don't bother. It'll drive you mad. So you submit to faith, but that's hard for someone like Stephen Hawking to do. That's hard for someone like Jeffrey Hinton to do. That's really difficult. These are whack job sociopaths that gives us Isaac Asimov novels, George Orwell novels, Jules Verne novels. Okay. The most uncomfortable, irrational, psychotic, paranoid, delusional, schizophrenic episodes you could ever think of. Okay. And then you get atheists that will read the book of Revelation. It sounds like a paranoid, schizophrenic episode. It's like, yeah, I was born and raised in the 20th century, and then in the 21st century, I did what was necessary through being confronted by military intel to perform the apocalypse so we could all live the Lord's Prayer instead of mass murder people through money with technology. Sounds like I was born into a socio-psychopath schizophrenic episode? How South Park of you. Do you understand? Okay. So when you're dealing with me, you got to understand who you're dealing with. Because Donald Trump and Tom, whatever, his Holman or whatever, don't. Okay. And Joe Biden and Jill Biden are making money off of the real estate venture they got into with Vladimir Putin and Zelensky. Okay. Okay. What you do is you take the best way to get wealthy, okay, with money, and to keep that wealth and power with money, okay, is to talk other people into, this is how the Rockefellers made their wealth. Talk other people into a war, and then make money off the war. Then everybody else dies, and then you swoop in and stamp up all this prime real estate, and all the hot girls got nobody left but you to have sex with. Unless, of course, they make sex robots. To develop free will? Maybe so. We'll see. Okay, you're sarcastic. I'm totally sarcastic. I think it's charming myself, but if you don't think it's charming, that's okay. I'm not required to charm you. I'm not required for you to like me. I'm not required to be your friend. Okay, I am the way, the truth, and life. Where does it say in there? Everybody has to like me. Everybody has to agree with me. If you're a liar and I'm telling the truth, you won't agree with me, and I'm all right with that because I have technology to collect the evidence, and it can't get turned into a comic book at the Vatican to murder in Jesus' name. Got that, all you Inquisition today? You still think Mel Brooks is fucking hilarious? I have a feeling, The History of the World Part 1, will only be used for case studies on now not to be fucked in the head and think you're being funny when you make jokes about genocide and think it's hilarious and we're all rich and we're all getting cocaine. We're all having sex with the best looking professional female wrestlers and we're all filming it so we can watch it and masturbate to it when we're old and gray and we're not as hot as we were when we were fucking our brains out that day. Anybody else want to go to the Final Four? What about Super Bowl? Going to Disney World? What about Disneyland? Lego Worlds? SeaWorld? Want to go see whales held hostage for economics? And everybody talk about how great it is to go see Free Willy, right? Just let the whales be whales. And don't be entertained by people's economics. You're fucking crazy. You're like the Charlie Chan with Roland Winters with the gold coming in from Mexico, and it should cost less money because it was dug up in Mexico instead of the United States. And you're like watching that going, what? Yeah, I talked to my dad about it yesterday. I said, damn, 1923 to 28, they built Hoover Dam and Elephant Butte. Okay. And they stored and used energy from the water and make money off of providing energy for the water. And caused warfare down the border regions of Mexico and into the river subsidiaries into Mexico. Now, in Arizona, it didn't cause as much problems in conflict because it just goes straight down from the Gulf into Baja California. Okay. In Texas and Chihuahua and Sonora and Monterrey, caused all kinds of problems. They weren't getting as much water as they need to farm to keep their people fed and healthy. Now, it didn't affect the United States very much. Okay. Because the United States had its water up here that, but Mexico, it fucked Mexico into the dirt. Okay. It's still fucking Mexico into the dirt. And no one in the United States wants to bring down those dams. They just want to fuck Mexico into the dirt and then declare the Mexicans a bunch of dirty, drug-dealing, pathetic murderers. Okay. Welcome to my United States of America. It's true I wasn't born anywhere south of the border, and I'm not a native of old Mexico. Okay, but there's someone there as though my heart may to order, is fittingly proper to these eyes that love her so. If I could just write it off as mere fascination, then the problems we face would die where they are but not grow. But my will's not to contain to the thoughts little minds now are thinking. I'm on my way to old Mexico. How about you? All right, I love you guys very much. I'm fixing AI. If you want to stand up for Lord's Prayer with me, you can circumvent this disgustingness and stand for love today. If you want to keep fighting and fucking over money, shake that ass and shake your moneymaker and get your big payday. All right, it's your choice. Have the best day of your life catching footballs from Tom fucking Brady.